Hey guys, my name is Gloria and welcome back to my channel. This is actually a reshoot because I've done this video already, and when I was editing I realised I had the cold dead eyes of a serial killer. So considering I'm talking about a book I actually like today, I thought I better widen up the eyes a little bit and show some life, not scare people away. So it's Women in Horror Month, and you know what, something's missing. I feel like something's missing. I know exactly what it is. Eh? Read more scary books. I think it's perfect. So today I want to talk about prompt number 2, which was Women of Colour. And I'm not sure if this book appeared on Ladies of Horror Fiction suggestions, but I know that the writer did, and the writer has been on my TBR list for so long. I've heard her name so many times, and I figured I would just start with her debut novel, and I'm very glad I did. Thank you to this prompt and Ladies of Horror Fiction for pushing me to get a start on reading Tananarive Due, because I really like this book. It was really well written, it was really well paced, I was hooked to the very last page. And if you want to check out my video for prompt 1, which was LGBTQIA+, I'll have a card up here, I'll have it down below as well. That one was great as well. I'm having a good February for reading horror, to be honest. For prompt number 2, I read The Between by Tananarive Due, which was her debut horror novel, and a short synopsis is that you begin the book with Hilton as a young boy who's living with his grandmother, who he loves very much. He enjoys living with her. One day he comes home to discover that she has unfortunately passed away and is just lying on the kitchen floor, and he has to run out to a neighbour's to get help. When he brings the neighbour back to the house, his grandmother's standing up cooking, and the neighbour thinks he just got it wrong, but Hilton knows that there's something wrong here. She was definitely dead, now she's not anymore, and she doesn't seem like the grandmother that he used to know. He's suddenly afraid of her, she's a lot meaner than she was. She takes him to a family reunion, which she normally wouldn't go to, but she brings him along and they're having a barbecue on the beach. And against her wishes, he goes swimming out too far and gets pulled into a riptide and starts to drown. So his grandmother jumps in the water, saves his life, but in the process, she drowns herself, dying essentially for the second time. Already spooky. And then the novel jumps forward to Hilton as an adult. He has 2 children and a wife. We get to see the sort of ins and outs of their marriage. They've had some marriage difficulties, they've gone to marriage counselling, and then because of his traumatic past, he's gone to counselling himself, mainly to deal with these horrific nightmares that he used to have. And his wife has just been elected the first African American head judge, whatever the American equivalent for that is, and he helps to run a drug rehabilitation centre, and they're both incredibly busy. Hilton spends a lot of the time he should be spending with his family, with his patients, and his wife has issues with jealousy because of her father's possible promiscuousness, and so there are issues within their marriage, but they still love each other, and there are issues with their jobs. And just as his horrible nightmares seem to be coming back to him to haunt him, his wife starts to get threatening, racist letters that are threatening to kill her and her family. And so the stress starts to amp up, the story starts to amp up. And as all of these things are happening, Hilton's mind starts to unravel, and because he's lost a lot of his memories through trauma in childhood, he wants to try and go back and remember exactly what happened with his grandmother and why he seems to be changing the same way that he thinks she changed whenever she came back. So I actually read The Between on my writing retreat last weekend, which was in a massive Tudor house in Wales, and the whole weekend was a Gothic weekend, and we were discussing the Gothic and what makes things Gothic and why it can be used in different genres. So when I was reading this, I was picking out a lot of gothic themes in the novel. You've got isolation, you've got madness, you've got inevitability, I think is the biggest one in this. The ending of the Between, it was so well written. The last chapter, I was actually supposed to be walking onto the steps of a plane, but I couldn't actually put my phone down. I was reading it on my Kindle and I couldn't put my phone down because I had to get through the last pages before I got on the plane, because it was such high tension. The last few pages really got me, and it could have gone a few different ways, but the way that it did go, I think that was the best way to do it. I think you did it well to go that way in the end, and it really served the story well. And I was genuinely on the edge of my seat. I was watching the plane taxi into the tarmac and opening the doors, and I was just like, no, one more page please. Obviously, because it's written by a woman of colour, about a family of colour, there are themes of racism. It was interesting for me to see the struggles that Hilton and his wife Day Day had to go through to decide when to sort of point out to their kids about racism. His son Jamil has a temper, and he's quite righteous about there's a moment when some other boys hurt some animals and he doesn't like that, and he wants to tell them exactly why, but his father understands that as a black boy in America you can't just be angry like that. You have to reserve yourself because you can get hurt. And it was interesting to see Hilton debating in his mind whether he was too young yet to know that, or whether he should know that because he's so young. The relationships between the family, they all seemed so genuine. I really liked Kaya, his daughter, as well. She was the perfect representation of a teenager who has a close relationship with her father, but also wants him to get the hell away from her because she's a teenager. There's also a lot of talk in this about mental health. I think the fact that they went to marriage counselling, and the fact that Hilton went to counselling by himself then to see a therapist, I think that's important. A lot of, just in terms of men's mental health, and the therapist that sees him then becomes his friend after he's not a patient anymore. I think it's really important to show it's important to seek out help when you really need it. In terms of Due's writing, it felt fresh to me. It was enthralling. I was really in the story with Hilton. I was there through the things he does right, the things he does wrong. I felt really sorry for him at times when people didn't believe him or didn't take him seriously in certain things, and when his stress of trying to take care of his family and his job and his employees and everything, they were sort of dismissed, which can happen too often sometimes. But overall, The Between, it deals with trauma, childhood trauma, repressed memories, with the stress of trying to take care of a family, the stress of racism for the family in this book, and not just from the man who's sending them threatening letters either. There's a couple of neighbours who just don't like them because they have dark skin. The Between, for me, the mix of dreams and reality and ghosts and not ghosts and false memories and stuff, it really had me hooked from the beginning. I really like the characters, I really like the writing. I'm absolutely definitely going to be picking up Tananarive Due's other books in the future as well. I'm really glad I got to read this one this month. You should definitely pick this one up. I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of The Between if you've read it down below. Let me know if you have any other recommendations from me. If you've read any other Tananarive Due's novels and you think that I would enjoy those in particular, please let me know. I'll be back soon with Prompt 3, which I think is a book that's been on your TBR for a while, which again, it was more of the writer than the actual book. If you want to see my whole TBR for the readathon, I'll put a card up here and link it down below, and let me know what you'll be reading for that one. Like my boobs are saying right now, read more scary books, particularly by women, and I will see you in the next video.